Bulavinaka and welcome to my video presentation on ED 252 Education Psychology and the Teaching Learning Process. I shall start with the introduction. Okay, in my introduction, I'm going to talk about the behavioral theory, cognitive theory, and socio-cultural theory. As we all know, that the learning theories provide system to understand on the way students obtain knowledge, skills, and behaviors. This behaviorism is important and it is deeply focused on observable changes in the attitude or behavior in result to the stimuli and the reinforcement. Okay, this was evident in B.F. Skinner's theory. The second one is cognitive theory. Cognitive theory normally focuses on the internal mental process, okay, and the memory and problem solving. For cognitive theory, it mostly highlights the way people process information and underscoring problem solving, storing information and views or perception. This theory came into light by Piaget and Brunner. And the last one is that the last theory that I'm going to elaborate on and will be using my episode, okay, in my critical project is sociocultural theory, mostly aimed on how a person's growth and attitude are molded through their social interaction and culturally based in learning. Okay, so that is a clear introduction about what I'm going to present on. Let's move on. Okay, about the episode. The setting, this episode was set up in a year 6 classroom, a remote interior school in the island of Fiji. The students that attended this class are normally from nearby villages. They are from nearby settlements, and some of them are government officials' children that works in that particular area. Mostly dominated by Itauke, the native, and approximately 30% of them are Indo-Fijian, and we have maybe 2% consist of other races. This school, they brought up they brought up different skills, and the teacher trying to provide interactive, holistic and inclusive education with an environment week, the Green Shelter. Okay, more on the program. Okay, there was an environment week. Okay, and the theme of the week is the Green Shelter, mostly focused on the environmental awareness on the trees. And the lesson objectives were designed, okay, by the teacher to be met after a week. Firstly, students were required to listen and identify some threat and explain their importance. Secondly, they were asked to practice pro environment attitude towards plants, which includes replanting, watering, trimming of plants within the school compound. And finally, they were told to work together with their community and friends to design a tree conservation workshop. So they are mainly focused on trees. Okay, the first phase is behavioral theory in action. The teacher started with a proper prepared plan. So in behavioral theory, we have direct instruction and reinforcement. Okay, as I was mentioning earlier about Skinner. Okay, Skinner was trying to tell us about how direct instruction and reinforcements can change behavior or behaviorism. Okay, so the teacher was trying to structure a lesson plan for plants conservation and their importance to living beings. So not only they are focused on about themselves as human being, but they are also focused for other living beings. For example, animals and birds, they depend on trees for shelter and also for food. Clearly and precisely the instruction provided, okay, for the importance of plants and effects of plants on living beings was clear. Okay, worksheets were provided to the student, like labeling of the parts of the plants, and also he used some of the method like true or false, multiple choice. Okay, these they try to recall the prior facts, the information that they already know, to recall if they can remember or not. The teacher was able to demonstrate some behavioral principles by giving positive reinforcement to the students. All correct answers were given a raise, a praise, a tick, and also the teacher was able to provide some rewards to reward the student. Okay, and for incorrect answers, they were immediately corrected with a word of encouragement to do better, which is a form of operant conditioning, okay, by Skinner in 1953. The second part of behavioral theory that was present in this episode is modeling and practice. So number one is demonstration. During the campaign, during the environmental week with the theme the green shelter, the teacher was able to demonstrate certain things so that the students could follow. The teacher was able to show them how to properly dispose the trash that may not harm the plants or other living beings, and also they were able to label the trash box for the 3Rs, the recycling materials, for papers, so that they can be disposed properly without the harm, without the because they might cause danger to the plants and the trees that grows around. And also they were able to try and so the student was able to observe an intimidation. So this observation and intimidation by the student, at the same time they are learning, so they are enforcing that behaviorism, okay, and also the sorting of rubbish. Moving on, okay, about the assessment. Okay, the teacher gave them a short quiz to assess the understanding of the day-to-day activities. Students that get 85% pass, they were able to be rewarded by new green t-shirts and cap from the teacher. I think the cap and the t-shirt was sponsored by someone, but it has the picture of the tree, how to conserve, how to protect the trees. And this also encourages the motivation of the students to protect and save trees, not only for themselves but for future generation. Even though all students participated in the quiz and the successful ones are awarded, but the unsuccessful ones, these are people, are students that are left behind. And I found it weird because they are not heard, so their voice are not heard. um, so the only one method of assessment was used due to poor time management. So there are only one method of assessment that was used that day is quiz. And the phase two, for phase two, I will be talking about and elaborating more on cognitive theory. Okay, the first point is activating prior knowledge. Okay, in day two of the week-long campaign, the teachers shifted to cognitive strategies. Okay, she commenced by testing the students' existing prior knowledge and the usage of plants and guessing the plant name provided with the image of the plants printed properly on the charts. The students were asked to say some of the name of the plants that their father and grandfather grew in their farm, and also this action encourages students to recall their previous encounters of experience with plants. Since most of them are Fijian or Itaukei, so they were able to label some of the name of the plants. And the second point is guided discovery and concept learning. Okay, the student were able to discover the different types of plants in their area through watching videos. The elders were able to provide some videos, and this is to encourage the students on the image and the name of the plant so that they can know, for them to know. So this action promotes continuous learning and meaningful learning through collaboration and organization, as was mentioned by Brunner. Sorry, it took much time for students to understand the names and function of those plants in English because the video was not simplified to suit the student's level. The third one is metacognition and reflection. Students were told to write a journal entry, but without the teacher's help, most of the students were able to write a good journal entry. So that is a positive feedback from the students. This action, they promotes metacognition, awareness, which promotes Feivel's idea and encouraging self-assessment. Okay, next is assessment. For presentation in this episode, students were instructed to present their concept map in groups and discuss the reasons for findings. During the presentation, the teacher was able to assess the understanding by asking them questions, group feedback, concentrating on the extent of explanation instead of rote recall. And the last VERI is socio-cultural VERI in action. The teacher was able to use some of the collaborative learning and scaffolding by promoting awareness and campaign. This involves the teacher, the student, and the communities, those that were there on that Friday during the final day of the campaign. And they were able to enhance the scaffolding concept. And also models were provided, okay, with the help of the teacher. The second part is cultural tools and language. Okay, metaphors were used in Fijian. Okay, some of the metaphors and exchanging dialects, since we have some Indo-Fijians and some Fijian there. So they are both benefited. And the last one is community engagement. The community was able to come together on that Friday to talk, have more talk and conversation via presentation during the day. And it was a formative and dialogic. So they were able to do self-assessment and provide feedbacks. The integration and reflection with the behavioral theory, they were able to establish foundational knowledge and reinforce desired action. For cognitive theory, they were able to deepen the understanding and active processing and depression. And for socio-cultural, they were able to situate learning, social and cultural context. The implication for practice, for behavioral theory, they were able to have skill acquisition and behavior change. For cognitive theory, they were able to support conceptual understanding and vital for lifelong learning. And for sociocultural theory, they were able to foster identity and essential for holistic education. To conclude my presentation today, in this green shelter, a week-long campaign, the students learn a lot of things through watching, reading, and listening. They were able to put into practice, imitate, and the community was able to help them, okay, on how to know the plants and how to take care of the plants. Those are my reference, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you so much.